Hey guys, Rodri here. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the business owner's guide to AI versus automation versus AI automation and what does it mean for your business. So most of what we see online on the meaning of AI and automation feels like they're the same thing, but they are not. So automation follows rules while AI makes judgments. So AI automation is what happens when you put AI inside an automated workflow so it can read inputs and decide what they mean and then trigger the next step without needing a human. So on the topics that we will cover, we have executive summary, a short history, automation, AI automation, a side-by-side comparison, then the three questions, next steps, and then contact. So for starters, we have executive summary. Why the difference matters? Because if you're a founder, you've probably heard AI can automate your whole business. Now that sentence mixes up two different tools and creates expensive mistakes that we do not want to happen. So first off, we have automation. So you could think of it like a digital assembly line. So it follows fixed rules. If this happens, do that. While AI is the brain that reads, interprets, and decides, it handles messy unstructured stuffs like emails, documents, calls, and makes judgment calls, but it's not 100% predictable and accurate. Combining both, we have AI automation, AI reads and decides, then automation executes the next step. So this is what lets you automate things that used to need a human. So why this matters is that if you try to use plain automation for something that needs judgment, it breaks, yeah? If you try to use AI for something that needs a rock solid consistency, it also breaks. So knowing which is which keeps you from wasting money and creating silent errors in your business. So going forward, we have a short story from assembly lines to AI agents. So to start, we have the story of automation. So it first started in the Industrial Revolution when a machine replaced manual repetitive labor in factories. Now in the digital world, the idea moved into software. So in the 1960s to the 1980s, early business automation, which is EDI, batch jobs, scheduled reports. Then we have the 1990s to 2000s, we have workflow engines, macros, basic integrations like move files, send emails, and then update records. 2010s onwards, we have no code, which is IFTTT, Zapier, and Make. Next up, we have the story of AI. So AI story is a bit more longer and bumpier. So let's first start here, which is in the 1950s, Alan Turing asked, can machines think? And proposes the Turing test. Then in the 1956 Dartmouth workshop, so AI becomes a name field. Then we have 1960s to 1980s, we have early chatbots, which are Eliza. So this is live online, so you could try it. Just type Eliza and you'd be able to find it. Then in here, we have 1970s and late 1980s, so two AI winters, so hype collapses and then funding dries up. Then we have 1997, IBM Deep Blue beats chess champion Garry Kasparov. So it's a specialized AI in a bounded domain. Then 2012, AlexNet wins ImageNet. So deep learning takes off for vision and speech. Then 2017, we have transformer architecture. So this is the foundation for modern large language models. Then 2022, we have ChatGPT goes mainstream, so AI becomes a daily tool for knowledge work. So for context, I've also been one of the early users of ChatGPT, and from there I never looked back and just dive deeper and deeper onto AI. So 2024 onwards, we now have AI agents starts coordinating work across tools and not just generating text. So AI went from can it think to my agent does the work for me. So where they meet, we have AI automation. So around the mid 2020s, these two lines converge. So traditional automation could move data, but they couldn't interpret inputs. So AI, however, could interpret text, images, and context, but didn't live inside workflows. So automation moves data but cannot interpret, while AI could interpret, but it cannot work in workflows. So we have AI automation where AI reads plus decides and automation executes. So it lets you automate things like reading an email complaint, classifying severity, drafting a response, and routing it for review. We have parsing a free-form lead message, then identifying the service they want and assigning the right sales rep. And then we have next summarizing a sales call, extracting objections, and updating the CRM automatically. And then here we have number three, which is what is automation? So how it works, really, really simple. Automation is equals to fixed rules, okay? Automation is equals to a fixed rule. So you tell it when X happens, do Y. So the same trigger, same action, and it happens every time. So you could think of it like a recipe where you follow the steps exactly and then you get the same dish every time. And so again, we have our diagram. When X happens, do Y. So same result every time. So it's good at repetitive, predictable task with clear rules. So examples are moving data between systems, form, CRM, then invoice to accounting, or booking to calendar, or sending scheduled messages like reminders, follow-ups, and notifications. Then we have generating standard reports like monthly PDFs, batch renaming, and it fails at unstructured inputs like free-form emails, messy documents, voice notes, situations where the rule changes based on context, like use your best judgment. Then if the process depends on human judgment, it breaks or it does the wrong thing. So again, we have our examples. A form to the CRM record plus confirmation email, invoice 14 days late, then you send a reminder email. Then if you have a job complete, you have a QuickBooks invoice. Then if there's a booking, then it goes to Google Calendar and a Slack notification. So we have business examples where auto-sending appointment reminders, syncing new leads to your CRM, or generating monthly revenue reports from your payment processor. So these are good fits. While a bad fit is deciding whether to waive a cancellation fee for a VIP client, or reading a complaint email and then deciding how angry the customer is, then choosing which leads are worth a call based on a vague feels promising note. So finally, we have what is AI. So again, really, really simple. So AI is pattern recognition and judgment. So instead of fixed rules, it can make decisions based on context. So what we have here, a one-line version where automation follows rules while AI makes the judgments. Then as you can see here, we have a diagram where traditional code is deterministic while AI models, they are probabilistic. So for this part, same input, same output. Then for AI models, we have same input, but different kinds of plausible outputs. It's good at interpreting unstructured inputs like, again, emails, documents, transcripts, and images, and classifying, summarizing, extracting information, drafting responses, proposals, and content, then making bounded decisions based on context like, is this complaint urgent? Then it fails at rock solid consistency on repetitive rule-based tasks. So in here, automation is cheaper and more reliable. An example that I could provide you here is I've worked with a particular client. They were looking to automate a specific process. However, upon diving deeper onto it, I've come to realize that you could just work with this on AppScript in Google Sheet compared to using AI models, workflows, and agents. And it's much faster. In just under a few seconds, the job's done compared to having it run on a workflow where you have to incur costs in cloud and infrastructure. Next, we have knowing truth, legal liability, or business consequences on its own. Then handling high stakes reversible decisions without human oversight. Now, this is something that we do not want a workflow to decide on its own. So as much as possible, if it's really high stakes, it has to be a human. So examples we have again, email, billing, technical, general, then 45-minute call, then you have your key points and then next steps. So if you have an invoice PDF, then extract line items in a sheet. Then if there's a lead message, you have a personalized follow-up. So AI is very, very powerful. However, it is not a replacement for human accountability. Okay? So again, examples. So it's good for classifying support tickets by topic and urgency, summarizing long email threads for a busy founder, or drafting custom sales proposals from a brief. And it's a bad fit if it is sending refunds or discounts without any guardrails and updating CRM deal sizes without validation, or making public posts or legal statements without human review. Finally, we have what is AI automation? So how it works is the AI layer reads inputs, interprets them, and makes a bounded decision. Then the automation layer executes the next step based on that decision. like updating the CRM, sending an email, or creating a task. As you can see here, we have our input, which is an email or a ticket. Then the AI reads and decides, like, say for instance, if this is a customer complaint. So the AI would decide, so is this something that is urgent? If the content of the email is really angry, the AI classifies it as a complaint. So the automation part there will execute where it will be sending over a message and then call a rep that would handle that particular complaint. And then next step is done. Then as you can see here, we have human gate if it is risky. Now, these are just for certain workflows, but it is necessary for some cases. So again, AI automation is the use of AI inside a business workflow to help the system interpret information, make bounded decisions, and then trigger the next step automatically. It is good at workflows that need both interpretation and execution, handling variable inputs like email, tickets, documents, and still moving the process forward, and then reducing human drudgery while keeping judgment where it matters. Then it fails at fully autonomous high-stakes decisions without human gates, and then processes where errors have high financial or legal or brand consequences and no one is checking. Okay, so we have here more examples. So a lead fills out a form with a free-form message. Then AI reads the message, identifies the service that they want, and routes the lead to the right team member with a suggested response draft. Now this is an example of this workflow. Then next we have a customer sends a complaint email. So AI reads it, classifies severity, drafts a response, and flags it for human review if sentiment is highly negative. Again, another example of the workflow above. A sales call transcript is processed by AI that identifies objections, suggests follow-up questions, and updates the CRM with a summary. Then an intake form includes a description of the client situation. Then AI reads it and generates a preliminary proposal outline. Then automation sends it to the sales rep for review. So AI automation is very powerful, but it still needs guardrails and human oversight for risky actions. Now, as you can see, if you're a founder or a business owner watching this video, you could probably already visualize certain workflows that you could benefit from. So we have more examples, yeah? Lead routing with intent classification and drafted responses. Support ticket triads with urgency scoring and suggested response. Then document processing like invoices, contracts with extraction plus validation plus human review for certain edge cases. And it is a bad fit for fully autonomous approvals with no limits, auto-updating CRM fields without any audit, and then sending patient data to public AI models without encryption or compliance controls. Now, this is something that you have to factor into consideration if you're working in a field where you're handling really sensitive data or PII. So as you can see, we have here a side-by-side comparison. So we have the core idea, input type, output, best for, failsat, and then an example. You could take a screenshot of this and then you could use it to sort of like compare and then use this as a baseline. And if you want this material, please send me an email at rodri@rodrisymbol.com and I'll be more than happy to send you over this, okay? Then next we have the 3 questions to ask before you build anything. So before you spend money on AI or automation, ask, is the input structured or messy? If it is structured, then it is automation. If it is messy, you likely need AI. So number 2, does it need judgment or just consistency? If it is consistency alone, just automation. Then if it is judgment, it's AI or AI automation. Then what's the cause of a wrong decision? Now, this is something that's really important because if you automated a particular process, a particular step, and all of a sudden the AI did the wrong thing. And what's the cause of that happening? That's why, as you can see from the earlier examples that we have, there are things that it fails at, and most of those are decisions that are really high stakes. So if it is slow, then AI could run with light to minimal oversight. And if it is high, a human gate is required. So if you can answer these 3, you already know which layer you would need. So we have conclusion and actionable steps. So AI automation and AI automation are not the same thing. So automation follows rules, AI makes judgment, AI automation combines both, so you can automate workflows that used to need a human. Use this 3-step action plan for your business. So list your top 5 workflows. So write down the task your team does over and over, like lead handling, support tickets, invoicing, or onboarding. Then you classify by input plus risk. So structured plus low risk is automation. Messy plus low to medium risk is AI, or AI automation with light to minimal oversight. Then if it is higher risk like money or compliance, then AI automation with a human gate. Then after that, you start with one pilot. So pick one workflow that's high volume, low to medium risk, and messy enough to need AI. Then build a small AI automation pilot with a human review step, and then expand from there. So if you got a process in your business and you're genuinely not sure whether it's a fit for automation, AI, or AI automation, or you're looking to find tools, or you're looking to have an AI and automation infrastructure for your business, then please reach out to me and we can work through a personalized plan and roadmap for your specific setup, stack, and business. Then where you can find me. So if you want to know more about me and my work showcase as well as some of my products, you could go to my website, rodrisymbol.com. And if you want to reach out to me directly, please email me at rodri@rodrisymbol.com. Then these are also a few of my socials. So I have a lot of write-ups, articles on LinkedIn that you could utilize, a lot of free stuffs as well. Then some of my products are on Product Hunt and Hugging Face. And this is my GitHub profile. So if you ever want to look and see the things that I've been doing, just look over my socials and you'll be able to understand more of me and the work that I do. I hope this video helped you in providing you information and a clear guide if ever you're investing on AI and automation or just thinking about it. And if you want more content like this, please subscribe so you don't miss a video. Ciao.